Well, the Atlanta Hawks did not get any lottery luck at the draft lottery. They are officially going to be picking 8th. And we're going to get into all that as to what transpired during the NBA draft lottery and what it means for the Atlanta Hawks. And we're going to get into all that and more. But before we get started on that, I want to tell you guys to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and tell a friend, tell a family member, tell whoever to support my channel. The Atlanta Hawks did not get the lottery luck that I was hoping and praying for. They did not jump into the top 2, really top 4, but my preference was to get a top 2 pick. It didn't happen. My dreams of getting AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson is officially done. It's not going to happen. And the Hawks are going to be picking, they're going to be picking 8th. And as a matter of fact, like the Hawks, they were actually projected to pick 7th, and they dropped down a spot to pick at number 8, in part because the Chicago Bulls, of all teams, jumped up. And so that means Dallas ended up moving down a spot, and it was a chain reaction. It was the Hawks moved down a spot. And ironically enough, the team behind the Hawks, the Grizzlies, moved up. Go figure. You know, and so like I said, as you can see, I'm disappointed. I'm pretty disappointed at the result because look, look, man. For those of y'all that haven't known already, and I've let my feelings loud and clear, I badly wanted AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson on this Atlanta Hawks roster because I believe that Darren Peterson or AJ DeBanza would have been a game changer for this team. And that it would have taken the Atlanta Hawks in this roster up to another level. This team needed a perimeter primary scoring option, and they're not gonna get it. At least not with the guys that I mentioned. But you know, it hurts. It's painful because I was planning on this YouTube channel to just act crazy, to just act like a fool, and just there's no telling what I would have done had the Hawks end up with a top 2 pick. I would have been acting crazy had the Hawks gotten the top 2 pick. And I had my sights set on it. I was planning. I was gonna lay out some takes and I was gonna do it. I was gonna do everything on this YouTube channel had the Hawks ended up with a top 2 pick. But it didn't happen. The Washington Wizards ended up getting the number 1 pick, and in all likelihood, they're gonna get AJ DeBanza, and it hurts because now the Washington Wizards, my man Trae Young is on the team, and they got Alex Sarr, the guy that I wanted 2 years ago in 2024, and that when the Hawks had the pick, and Alex Sarr just refused to go to the Hawks, and now they're gonna get AJ DeBanza, the guy that I wanted the most. So they're gonna have 3 of my favorite guys on the team. You know, former Atlanta Hawk Trae Young, AJ DeBanza, and Alex Sarr. It hurts, man. It's painful. And look, for the Washington Wizards and their fans, congratulations. They got the number 1 pick. And I think their team I think their franchise is turning in a forward direction. And they got some momentum. And if I'm Trae Young, man, I'm hyped. Like I'm hyped with what I'm gonna be having in the Chocolate City in Washington, D.C., man. You talking about Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, AJ DeBanza, you know, Kayshawn George. I mean, they got some talent, man, up in the Washington D.C., man. I'm telling y'all, man, they cooking something up there in Washington, man. Will Dawkins, their general manager's done a hell of a job with that franchise, man, and they're moving in a forward direction. So congrats to the Washington Wizards, congrats to the Utah Jazz. They got a number 2 pick. They're gonna get Darren Peterson. In all likelihood, you got Darren Peterson with Keontae George in your backcourt. You got Ace Bailey. You got Jaren Jackson Jr. You got Lauri Markkanen. You got Walker Kessler. Like, man, I'm buying Utah Jazz stock. That team's going to be a playoff team next year. And so congrats to them. The Memphis Grizzlies got a number 3 pick. You know, they're going to get Cam Boozer, I'm assuming, or maybe they take Caleb Wilson or whatever. But, like, interesting young team. And by all accounts, it seemed like the Hawks, if you read the reports, it seemed like the Hawks were close to getting up to number 3. And then the Chicago Bulls move to 4. They're going to take whoever's left of Cam Boozer and Caleb Wilson. And so that's how the top 4 shaped up. But back to the Hawks. Like I said, they're picking at number 8. And while I am disappointed when it comes to the results of the lottery with the Hawks picking at number 8, I'm here to tell y'all that as disappointed as I am that the Hawks are going to be picking 8, it's not catastrophic. Like, it's not all doom and gloom, with the Hawks picking a number 8, because all things considered, even if they're not going to get AJ DeBancer or Darren Peterson, my preferences, this is a very good guard class. And if there's one thing that I've mentioned on the last episode that I think was missing on the Atlanta Hawks is they need a primary scoring option who can also play make. And this guard class is filled with a lot of guys that has the potential to address that need for the Hawks as far as getting a primary lead guard who can score and be a primary scoring option, playmaking option. Like, there's a lot of options, man, that I think the Hawks are going to be presented with, with where they're going to be picking. Because when you look at this guard class is elite, man. There's a lot of talented guards. This is one of the best guard classes I've seen, ironically, since 2018. The draft with Trae Young and Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Brunson. Like, it's a lot of guards in this class, man. And we're talking about Kingston Fleming. We're talking about Darius Acuff. We're talking about Keaton Wagler. We're talking about Mikael Brown Jr. We're talking about LeBron Philon, Braden Burries. Like, there's going to be a lot of guards that the Hawks are going to be able to choose from. There's a couple of them are probably going to be gone. Like a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them are probably going to be gone. And who knows? Maybe the Hawks end up trading up, because you look at the teams, one of the teams in front of them, the Los Angeles Clippers, they actually do not need a point guard because they have Darius Garland, who they traded James Harden for. And so you have him locked up for 2 years. And so you imagine if you're the Clippers that Darius Garland is going to be their point guard of the future. And so they don't really need a point guard, which means they could be a team looking to trade back. And who knows, the Atlanta Hawks could be a team looking to trade up. Who's to say the Hawks can't put together a package to trade up if they want to get a guard like a Kingston Fleming? You know what I mean? Maybe they like him. Maybe they like Keaton Wagler. And so if the Hawks wanted to be aggressive, they could be aggressive with a team like the Clippers. Maybe they offer up Zachary Richardson in that 8th pick. Or they also have another first-round pick. They have the 23rd pick. So maybe they offer up Zachary Richardson in the 8th pick, or the 8th pick in the 23rd pick, or the 8th pick in, I don't know, Nickeil Alexander-Walker if they want to sell high on him because he didn't play well in the playoffs or whatever. I don't know if I will go that route, but the point is the Hawks do have some options if they do want to move up to a team like the Clippers. If they want to get the preferred lead guard that they like. And so there's a lot of options that I think the Hawks are going to be looking at. And at the end of the day for the Hawks, regardless of where they're going to be picking, they're picking at number 8. And as disappointing as I am that the Hawks was not able to get the lottery luck that I was begging Adam Silver to give, as disappointed as I am in that, and the fact that the lottery luck didn't fall in the Hawks' favor, I do think this team is in a pretty good spot in the draft to address their guard situation, because make no mistake about it, no matter what the Hawks do this offseason, and no matter how the Hawks do moving forward and how they construct their team, nothing that they do matters until they get themselves a guard who can be a primary scoring, playmaking option. They have to address that. They got to get a primary scoring, playmaking option. Like they just do. It's the top priority this offseason. And if I'm Onsi Saleh, I'm in my office every day watching film, going to these draft combines, interviewing these guards, and I'm identifying which of these guards, whether it's Keaton Wagler, whether it's Kingston Flemings, whether it's Darius Acuff, whether it's Mikael Brown Jr. If hopefully his medicals check out, because he had a back problem this at Louisville, but I like him. Like, I was watching some of him on Mikael Brown Jr. He's talented. He is a talented dude. And so you got him. You got man. By the way, Mikael Brown Jr. is the guy that I think from the mock drafts that I've seen, he's the guy that most people are projecting to be the pick at 8. And so you have him. You have LeBron Philon from Alabama. You got Braden Burries, who I also like. Like, there's a lot of quality guard options. And so if you're Onsi Saleh, I'm looking at them interviewing these guys, and I'm watching the film, and I'm just saying, like, look, man, which of these guys is the best for us? Who fits us the best? Who do we believe has the best upside to be a star, at the next level? And if I'm Onsi Saleh, that's what I'm looking at, man. I'm spending these next 6 weeks, identifying who's the best option, because this draft is very important for the Hawks to nail that pick and nail, in all likelihood, which of these guards is gonna be that guy, that primary option that fits what we do best. Who's gonna be the best fit with Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker if he's here, or Dyson Daniels, or Jonathan Kuminga? Like, who's the best option that fits us, and who has the most upside and potential to grow and become a star in this league? And if I'm Onsi Saleh, like, that's gonna have to be the priority moving forward when it comes to this draft, And so, look, man, the Hawks are picking at number 8. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I had in mind. I had dreams and vision fantasizations of the Atlanta Hawks picking higher, picking in the top 2, because I wanted AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson. Like, I wanted those one of them 2 dudes. I did. I was begging and just fantasizing that, can I get one of them 2 dudes? And you just pair one of them 2 dudes with this roster with Jalen Johnson and Dyson Daniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jonathan Kuminga and Yucca Conwu. Like just AJ DeBanza or Darren Peterson with what we have, man. Like, it would have been scary hours for the Eastern Conference. It would have been scary hours if the Hawks ended up with one of them 2 dudes. I'm telling y'all. But it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I'm disappointed. But but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. It's not doom and gloom. It's gonna be. I'm holding some optimism. It's gonna be okay that the Hawks are picking 8th, and we're gonna get that guy. We're gonna find that. Onsi Saleh is gonna find that option at the guard spot, and we're gonna get that guy, and he's gonna fit on this roster. I'm holding some optimism on today after the lottery results on Sunday, and not getting the results that I dreamed of getting. And so it's gonna be okay, man. We gonna make it. It's gonna be okay, and we gonna figure this thing out. But it's not ideal, not what I envisioned. And yeah, but in other news, when it comes to the draft that I noticed, like I said, man, shout out to the Washington Wizards, shout out to the Utah Jazz for getting the 2nd pick, shout out to the Memphis Grizzlies and the Chicago Bulls. And look, man, I'm kind of disappointed, because it seems like the NBA rewarded the tankers. They rewarded the teams that were purposely losing, like the Wizards, like the Jazz, like the Memphis Grizzlies, and to a lesser degree like the Chicago Bulls, and all of them got rewarded for it. So that doesn't sit too great with me personally, that all of these teams are tanking and they got rewarded for it. So I'm not really too thrilled about that. And on the flip side, man, I mean, imagine if you're an Indiana Pacer fan, or if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, or if you're a Sacramento Kings fan. You spend all this time losing games, and you're not even picking in the top 4. If you're the Brooklyn Nets, I mean, there's no team in the NBA that needs more talent than them, arguably, and they're picking 6th. And so that to me, that's not great. If you're the Indiana Pacers, you spend all this time trying to tank, and look, they had some bad luck with injuries, so you don't want to punish them. And look, when they're healthy, they're a pretty good team. But like, they had the Pacers got in the top 4 pick, and they had an opportunity to add a AJ DeBenza or a Darren Peterson or even a Cam Boozer or a Caleb Wilson to what they already have with Tyrese Halliburton when he comes back and Pascal Siakam, and they traded for Avisa Zubats, and you have Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard and that team. Like, you added a top 4 pick to that team, and oh my God, the Pacers would have been scary, but they didn't get it. They don't have they made a gamble of trading the top 4 protected pick to the Clippers, and their pick didn't get top 4. So they lose their pick to the Clippers, and so they don't have their pick. And the Sacramento Kings. I mean, poor Kings. I mean, just adding more salt to the wound with the Kings, man. I mean, team with I don't think there was any team that needed a top pick more than them, and they're gonna be picking 7. And so, like I said, brutal all around for those franchises. But hey, man, that's their problem. For the Hawks, it could be worse. It could have been worse for the Hawks. Even if they had the 8th pick. Believe it or not, when you look at the Hawks, like, they had a coin flip with the Dallas Mavericks after the season, and they ended up winning the coin flip. Had they lost the coin flip, the Hawks would have projected to have the 8th pick, and we all know what happened. With the lottery, like, the 8th pick ended up being the 9th pick because the Chicago Bulls moved up, and so had the Hawks lost that coin flip, they would have been picking 9th instead of 8th. Go figure. And so, like I said, man, it could always be worse, for the Hawks. And so they do have the 8th pick, and so, but it could be worse, but hey, things worked out the way that they did. And, we'll see how, the Hawks going to be picking 8th in the NBA draft. The NBA draft is going to be in about 6 weeks. About 6 weeks, maybe 7 weeks. And so there's plenty of time for the Hawks to scout these guys, do some film reviews, and study film, go out to these combines and workouts, and identify which of these guys is going to be the best option for the Hawks, man. And so, obviously they need a guard. There's some centers. There's a couple of centers maybe that you could be looking at. I know a lot of people like Adari Mara, the Michigan big man. I like Adari Mara, the Michigan big man. I do, but for me as a Hawk fan, I think that 8th pick should be used on a guard. Like, I do. Like, if you want to trade up and get a guy like Kingston Flemings because he won't be there at 8, I understand it. If you want to take a shot on Mikael Brown Jr., I'm cool with that. I'm not as high on Keaton Wagler as other people. Like, the athleticism and the lack of burst and the lack of strength scares me with him. Like, I'm a little worried about him. But, he can shoot the ball he can shoot off the dribble. He has a nice pull-up 3-point shooting game. He's crafty. He has good feel. So, like, he's interesting. Darius Acuff. I like Darius Acuff. I do, man. I like Darius Acuff a good bit. The problem I have with Darius Acuff is, like, he's small. He's a small guard who's not the best, who's not, much of a defender. And so, in knowing what the Hawks value under Onsi Saleh, they want some size at the guard spot. And so I'm actually kind of skeptical that that's the direction the Hawks will go. And so even if I do like Darius Acuff, I don't know if the Hawks go in that direction, for better or for worse. And so my preference, man, is like, can we get Kingston Flemings, or could we get Mikael Brown Jr.? Mikael Brown Jr., man, I like him. I know I don't think we saw the best of him at Louisville. And I just look, man, even in his moments, man, when he was playing good, man, he was dynamic. Like he had a 45-point game, this past year. He had another 30-plus point game, multiple 30-plus point games. Like he was looking like, dare I say, like taller Trae Young, who can play off the ball. You know what I'm saying? He can pass too, crafty, can finish at the basket. If his medicals check out, because he had that back issue at Louisville, but if his medicals check out, man, give me Mikael Brown Jr. Like that's like, to me, I like him. I'm a fan of him, and so, and obviously there's Braden Burns from Arizona, man. I like what I saw out of him. There's LeBron Philon from Arkansas, from Alabama. And so this is a talented guard class. It is. And as a Hawk fan, I would love if the Hawks can get one of these guards, and have one of these guys sit, for a year, and assuming the Hawks bring back CJ McCollum, it'd be nice if the CJ McCollum can mentor the guy we draft, man. I think it'd be a great situation, and so that's kind of where my head is at, when it comes to the Hawks in this draft. Again, I'm disappointed that we couldn't get in the top 2, that we couldn't get the lottery luck that I thought that we deserve. But it ain't the end of the world, man. We gonna be okay. We picking at number 8. And it's a really good guard draft. And all things considered, the Hawks weren't even supposed to have an 8th pick. Because you know what, we make the playoffs, and the reality is, man, teams that make the playoffs aren't supposed to be picking in the top 10 of any draft lottery. And the Hawks got the 8th pick in part because of the New Orleans Pelicans, doing that Derek Queen trade. And so, thank you, Joe Dumars. You gave us a gift. And look, man, for the Atlanta Hawks, it's quite simple. Onsi, Saleh in the front office, it's quite simple. Y'all got to get to work. You got 6 weeks to identify which of these guards is the best option for this team. And it's up to these guys to find which of these guys is going to become a star next to the young core that we have. And, let's see what happens moving forward over these next few weeks when it comes to the Hawks. And, they got some work to do. And as a Hawk fan, hey, man, disappointed, but we going to be okay. We going to be okay. And I'm optimistic that Onsi Saleh is going to do the right job. And he's going to get the right guard or player for this franchise moving forward, man. And that's all I have. And, hey, man, I'm feeling it's a little hard up here, but we're going to be okay, man. And, it is what it is, but we're going to be all right. Be back later. Talk soon. Peace. Go Hawks.